Well, that was a nice diversion. And they're playing one of my favorite songs that most people have never heard of on their speakers right now. And it's so quiet out here, you can't hardly hear it. I know the song backwards and forwards, and at the moment I cannot think of the name of it, and I can't think of the artist either. I can barely hear it. So I guess that doesn't really narrow it down much. If you couldn't hear it, and I don't think the mic picked it up. But it's got the lines like, "You're the first and last of your kind. Da 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 da. I wanna be the one." Something. Yeah, that doesn't narrow it down. Hopefully I remember it when I'm editing this. I can put a little subtitle in saying what it is. But that song is addictive. It's really good. I think I first heard that when I had my satellite radio, my XM satellite radio hooked up in my home system, and was able to listen to the alternative station, which played like real alternative, not the played out stuff that 93.3 Alt AZ plays on the radio here, which is basically pop for white people. But yeah, I remember hearing that song on that station and just loving it, and downloading the video and loving the video, and then getting the karaoke so I could sing that at my show, and regularly playing the video at my show. And I got really positive reaction from the people that came to my shows regarding not only me singing the song, but also me playing the video for the song. So I talked to the bartender in there. Obviously, just a bartender has no real decision-making power, but she did say that they had karaoke in the past, but had gotten rid of it, that they were primarily about live music there, and that they had a couple of open mic nights, but no karaoke. They were pretty much live music, and there's a business card for the owners there. Live music venue. Didn't realize there was a live music venue in Unedited. I wouldn't expect that. But, so she's saying live music every night but one. But gave me the information, says I'm welcome to get a hold of the owner. Gave me his card. So, I don't know, maybe I can do that. Might be worth my effort, because that's sort of the venues where my shows has done the best, is large venues with stages and places that are primarily live venues, because I'll set up the show to where the karaoke singers can get on the stage and have a light show, have a studio monitor where they can really hear themselves well, and then also just kind of give the show a bigness. And I usually put a projection screen behind the singers, and then a little screen on a tripod in front of them, so they can face the audience and see the lyrics right in front of them, and then everybody else can see the lyrics on a giant screen behind the singer. And then I have a nice display for my music videos in between the singers. So, I don't know, will anything come of it? Beats me. I think I had a pretty good interaction with the bartender, though, and told her about some of the places I've hosted in the past that are primarily live music venues, such as Goat Head Saloon and the Horse and Hound, and also Pub Rock. Now, granted, my show at Pub Rock didn't last very long, but that was a separate tragedy that I think had to do a lot with the owner of that bar just failing to keep her information updated. As I would tell people about the show, and then they would check on Google to see how to get to the place, and then the place on Google would say it was closed on the night I was there. And I told the bar owner about it several times, about, hey, you need to contact Google. I can't do that. I'm not the owner of the bar. You need to contact Google and let them know that you are open on those days, and update your hours and information on the site. Now, interestingly enough, Google does have a way where just random Google users can update that information now. But back when I hosted at Pub Rock, they didn't have that functionality. But yeah, that's in Google Maps, and I do use it on occasion. Yeah, back then they didn't have that, and I would have loved to have been able to go on and do it myself, but I asked the owner to do it, and I just couldn't get her to bother. Apparently didn't care enough about the performance, but always blamed the low turnout on a Tuesday night on me. And I was doing everything I could, but it takes more than just me. And when I'm putting out promotions, and then people double check it in Google, and Google says the place is closed, and then they don't show up. That's really not on me. So I'm at the intersection of 48th Street and Cheyenne. I do see a little wheelchair ramp across the way, so this is technically an unmarked crosswalk. And as I've said many times, Arizona drivers don't recognize that unmarked crosswalks exist, or that pedestrians have the right of way in them, because that truck sure as hell wasn't slowing down. We got a bus stop here in Cheyenne. So I forgot when I was taking that bus across the Elliott bus that it turns and goes south here. There's a different bus that goes down the Warner Elliott Loop. I think it's like a Ahwatukee circulator operated by Phoenix. Just killing time right now. It's 11:29, and about a half hour before my shift. I don't like to pop into the store more than 10 minutes early, because that just makes it awkward for everybody. Here's the subway I just walked under. It's kind of funny how when you're walking in a walkway like that in a strip mall, it's hard to see a lot of times what the stores are that you're passing, because all the signage is aimed at the Strode and the parking lot outside versus the place where people would walk, because who walks, right? Just me, feels like, most of the time. Oh, and homeless people. And me being on foot with a backpack, I'm sure there's probably somebody assuming as they pass me that I'm homeless. It kills me how much the channel Blizzard Gang posts shorts of blah 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 homeless person and put sad music underneath it, and it's just a person walking down the street with a backpack, and people are starting to check him in the comments, but it hasn't stopped him from posting videos like that where they're asking, well, how do you know that person's homeless? And even commenting on reasons why that person's probably not homeless, mentioning that, hey, they're not carrying enough stuff to, they just have a small backpack. It's not like everything they own is on them. And also mentioning things such as, that they're wearing very expensive shoes and very expensive clothes, so probably not homeless. Also, they look pretty clean, dude. Probably not homeless. But there is a common assumption from people who drive that anybody who's walking must be homeless. I still got 30 minutes to kill. 20 minutes to kill-ish before I go inside the Circle K. So yeah, Cactus Jack's would be a great place to do karaoke. I did tell her I only had a show right now on Saturdays, and that at a spot like that, surely you guys are doing bigger things with live music on Saturdays, and she confirmed. She didn't tell me which night was free, but pretty much made it clear that she doesn't make any decisions. Oh, and there goes another Route 108. Oh, interesting. Sign on this side of the bus isn't working at all. Just blankness. It does say 108 on this side, though. Anyway, she made it very clear that, I would need to contact the person that she gave me the card for, but that I should. And there's the next 108. So, had I missed my transfer, I would have got here on time. But, yeah, I'm not really about spending 30 minutes, a mile plus away from where I'm going to work, hoping that the next bus comes on time. And, plus, wow, I damn near tripped at a crack in the sidewalk and damn near dropped my phone. Yikes. And 30 minutes just sitting in one place waiting for a bus is such a miserable experience most of the time. And I think it would have been closer to 20, because the bus that I got on was running late, just not nearly as late as the bus I transferred from. The route, it's the 56, the one that goes down Priest and also Avenida Del Yaqui through the center of Guadalupe, town of Guadalupe. There's a Walgreens here. I don't think I want to get anything from Walgreens. I was kind of hoping there'd be some low-budget fast food over here, but there really isn't. I certainly can't afford to be spending money at Subway. That's out of my budget. It's looking like the only thing around here that I can afford to eat at is the Circle K. It feels weird going in there this early and getting food and then doubling back to work. But I might just do that. passed this place before the other day when I had a flat tire in my mom's van, and I was vlogging that day because that's the last time I worked at the store, was the day I had the flat tire. And I had the flat tire as I was getting off the freeway. So looking at the damage on the tire, I'm thinking what the deal was that it had developed a bubble just from driving in it. I love how that guy pays zero attention to the pedestrian before turning left. That it had developed a bubble, and I was driving on the bubble, and it wore through the bubble and just caused the tire to burst. That's most that I could tell from it. My mother said she bought those tires at a small shop in the middle of nowhere, so if there were any warranty, she didn't have any warranty information on it. So, second one of those that went out on my watch. So I just went to the same Yantareya on Van Buren there, next to Honey Bear's Barbecue. So this strip mall looks like it's got quite a bit of vacancy in it. An Anchor looks like it has nothing in it. Got a pretty large size Hallmark store over there. Can't really see the sign there. It looks like an O'Reilly. Yeah, O'Reilly Auto Parts. And then in the next Anchor, KTR. I have no idea what that is. The sign there up ahead says KTR. Now open. Whatever the heck that is. Now I'm all the way over to 51st Street. God, every time I see that 51st Street in Elliott, Circle K, I'm reminded of the psychopath I had a date with the week after I met the woman who later became my wife and later became my ex-wife, who got completely psychotic that after dinner I was leaving her and didn't want to stay the night with her, and then accused me of something that rhymes with grape to the cab company, which caused me to be suspended for quite some time. In fact, I think I ended up completely losing my job at the cab company over that false allegation, and ended up going to a different cab company. I did end up eventually getting back with that cab company down in Tucson when they bought out the cab company I was driving for. And when a manager came in who recognized me, he told me that, yeah, they tried to follow up on that allocation, and it just became really clear after a while that she didn't report it to the police, and that her story, the more she gave her story, the more it changed and the flakier it got. But that it looked really suspicious at first. It's kind of a dollar store. Oh, there's a Dollar Tree over there. There's a good place to waste a little bit of time. That's something I can afford to shop at right now. But anyway, the manager, he told me that, yeah, the story just got really flaky, but that they gave it so much credence ahead of time because at that point in time they had installed GPS tracking systems in the cabs, and it showed that the cab was sitting there parked at the time she was alleging that I had done something terribly bad to her, and that it showed it had been there for quite some time. And that's when I was like, well, you know, I did have a date with the woman, but nothing inappropriate happened. I said, but you know, when I lease a cab 24/7, that's my vehicle. Like, if I'm going to take some time off, obviously you don't expect me to drive 24/7. If I'm taking, coming soon, Dollar Tree. So it is not open yet. Well, tuck that in the back of my mind that at some point there will be a Dollar Tree here, but not yet. The Bagel Man. That's probably a little out of my budget as well. It also doesn't look open right now. Time is it? 11:37. Almost time to pop in and work. Would have really liked to get something to eat before going in. Wasn't able to really eat anything before leaving home this morning just because it was so awkward trying to get out so early, and the cats got into the cupboard and ruined all my tortillas. And to be fair, I'm probably not feeding them as much as I should these days. Indoor Action Sports Playground. Okay. And we have a zip line. No idea what a KTR was, so now I know. Trampolines, fun place to spend money if you have money to spend on stuff like that, which I don't. And since I no longer have my kids with me, that isn't any place I would be going. So, and there's the O'Reilly Auto Parts, formerly known as Checker. Anyway, that was a long, long time ago, and nothing came after it. But yeah, it sure did throw a monkey wrench on my plans of getting back on my feet on the week that I met my ex-wife, because my plan was to pick her up from the airport, which I did. And was it a little weird to have a date that night with somebody else? Yeah, maybe. But I mean, Daniela and I weren't definitely an item. For all I knew, when I picked her up at the airport, she could have been like, "Oh, where's my car?" Because her roommate or her friend, who was my ex-girlfriend, had snagged her car from me and said, "Well, she didn't say you could keep the car," when in fact she did tell me I could keep the car. But at that point, like, she took the car from me. There wasn't anything I could do. It's not like I could call the police and say, "Hey, she took this car." You know, it would have been her word versus my word, and she had possession of the car. And Daniela was by that time, Daniela was in Canada, so I had no way of even reaching her. Person's picking an odd place to stop, almost as much as I'm picking an odd place to walk. So yeah, she... Anyway, I picked her up, but, you know, I mean, things went awesome at that point for a long time. I mean, we were married for damn near 2 years, but I think we got married maybe 5-6 months after that night. But that particular night went according to my plans. I picked her up in my cab, picked her up at the airport, and told her what happened with her car, and she was she understood what had happened, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really tell her, my bad, sorry about that." And I'm like, "Well, it's fine." I got into my cab and I took her out for a really nice dinner at the Oregano's in Old Town Scottsdale, and I got us a room in the Old Town Resort, formerly known as the Holiday Inn Resort, right in Old Town. And after that, took her to work, where she worked up north at Frank Lloyd Wright and Scottsdale Road at what was then Saturn of Scottsdale. She was actually, not only did she drive a new Saturn, but she worked at Saturn. And it wasn't until I was on the way there that I tried to log in and get a call in my cab, and heard that I was suspended and I needed to come to the office. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and I'm like, "Yeah, I have no idea what that's about." And then after that, found out about the whole, went down to the cab company, found out about the whole false allegation. And my word just didn't seem to stack up well against GPS showing that I had been there. And they took the keys to the cab. Got really weird about the fact I even had the cab, because it was given to me late at night as opposed to during business hours. They're like, "Doesn't it seem weird that would have happened?" I'm like, "No, not really." I said, "As long as I've driven for this company, no, it doesn't seem weird at all. I've gotten cabs from this company in the middle of the night before. It's not like I'm a new driver." Anyway, I should maybe look back into driving a cab again, but at this point, my biggest fear as a cab driver is my bad vision, and I feel like it poses an unnecessary risk that I probably shouldn't take. Although, to be honest, I do feel comfortable driving 99% of the time. It's 42 after, still earlier than I should sign in. Let's just see, there's a little back way around at Circle K. Not really a proper path, but it works. Oh, look at the wrap on that Tesla. That looks awesome. On that note, shout out to a channel I've been following a long time called Tesla Flex. He's also got a wrapped Model 3, very similar to that, but has it in kind of a weird luminescent purple. And prior to seeing his Tesla on his channel, I had no idea that wrapping Teslas with vinyl wraps like that to give them unique colors was even a thing. So, pretty neat. What I should be talking about, rather than reminiscing about terrible false allegations that happened like 23, 24 years ago that have no bearing on my life at this point. Although I often wonder, what would have happened? How would my life have turned had I been able to just drop Daniela off at work and then continue to drive in my AAA cab and work and then pick her up? How much easier would my life have been, and what my life would have been if I'd have gone down that path versus getting suspended, ended up having to I'm trying to remember how I got back to Tucson. I can't remember if Daniela drove me to Tucson or if I took a Greyhound to Tucson. I really don't remember. I want to say Daniela drove me. Yeah, Daniela drove me. I remember that. So I remember coming back to Tucson and introducing her to my roommates. And I'd already seen my roommates before because I had driven her Saturn down to Tucson and told them about that. And then, so yeah, they got to meet her. But yeah, it was like right after that. That was beginning of September. God, almost, wow. Like however many years ago to the date now. Because we're coming up on September 11th next week. And I forget exactly what date it was, but yeah, it was shortly before September 11th, because either the next day or the day after that was when I woke up, walked out into the living room with my roommates, Todd and his girlfriend Crystal, and the cross-dresser whose name I don't remember, and they're all just sitting, along with our friend Des, they're all just sitting on the couch in tears, looking at the TV at what I immediately assumed had to be a movie. I saw people jumping from the Twin Towers and an airplane crashing into it, and then another airplane crashing into it, and another airplane crashing into the Pentagon, and that just didn't even seem like something that could be real. That had to be a movie, right? And meanwhile, my roommates who were sobbing are telling me, no, that just happened this morning. And I feel like so many things in this country changed on that day. Yeah, go ahead and cut me off, even though I got a walk sign. Did she just give me the finger? I think she did. Awesome. Let's hear it for self-entitled people in giant killing machines. It wasn't even a giant killing machine. It's still a motor vehicle. Come on, yield to pedestrians, you asshole. 11:46 right now. I was kind of following this ditch that I was walking through after I passed that truck that stopped in the shade. I always like how it's possible to walk along these draws, like these drainage draws, and I wish more of this was used for pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, because the valley's full of this kind of stuff, but as you see, there's no pedestrian path in this one at all. But there could be. It wouldn't take too much effort for the city to landscape this and make it into an open space that's like a park when it's not being used for drainage, complete with a bike path. And if the bike path was up here or over there alongside the fence to where it was, elevated, it would still be a functional bike path when there is flooding and there is water in the drain. Something to think about. The non-motor vehicle infrastructure could be so much better with just a little bit of effort and the space allowed, and there could be more green space in the city if some effort was made in spaces like this. But no, we got entitled drivers that give me the finger for daring to walk across the street when I have a walk sign when she wants to turn right. And to be honest, obviously, I want to get myself back into a motor vehicle like crazy. Although I really want to get myself into an electric vehicle. And I seem to be in the vast minority with that. 11:48. I think 2 more crosses of this intersection, and it'll be time for me to, an appropriate time for me to go inside the Circle K. So yeah, I keep saying I've got other things I need to talk about other than reminiscing about how things went down with those false allegations. But every time I am by that Circle K, the next Circle K down the road, which I've never worked at, I'm just reminded of wonder if I need to hit a beg button here. Toot toot. Hey, you have a green left arrow, man. You should go. Quit looking at your phone. That's a common occurrence on the roads out here. And to be completely honest, I do that on occasion. So when I'm sitting at a long red light, that's when I'm checking my messages, because I don't like to do that as I'm driving. And sometimes the light changes when I'm at the front, and yeah, somebody has to toot behind me to let me know it's time to go. I try to be more attentive than that, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't the guy that did that on occasion. So yeah, that Circle K always reminds me and kind of jogs my memory of all the things that happened and all the what ifs. You know, what if I could have kept driving my cab here in the Phoenix area and stayed close to Daniela? I mean, we ended up getting together regardless, but boy, at one point she was ready to just pretend I didn't exist, and you know, she told me, well, I don't have to say that you're the father. It's like, no, if that's my baby, I want to raise her. And I tried to raise Allison. I don't know how well that's worked out. I haven't heard from her in a couple of months, but at any rate, she's an adult and in charge of her own destiny now at 22 years old. And I was in her life as much as I could as she was growing up, despite crazy opposition from courts and a vindictive ex-wife. But yeah, Greg Stanton for Congress. Oh, he's running for re-election. Yeah. Looking forward to a chance to vote against him. Kate Gallego running for re-election. Looking forward to a chance to vote against her as well. Although, honestly, if I had the choice between Greg Stanton as mayor and Kate Gallego as mayor, I would be voting for Stanton, because as awful as I thought Stanton was as mayor, God, Kate Gallego has been so much worse. I'm still bitter at Greg Stanton, though, for making the decision to destroy Patriot Square Park in the center of downtown Phoenix and turn it into commercial space. Because that was a Phoenix point of pride until he decided there was money involved and not maintaining that Phoenix point of pride, and turn public space into private business space. And as somebody who likes to have public space and his taxes go to public space, that shit doesn't make me happy, and I have not forgot. So it's 11:51. I really need to get inside. But what I did want to mention is that I have accepted shifts for today's Monday. Today is Monday. I've accepted shifts for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at Extended Stay America Hotel, but not the one I usually work at up in Scottsdale, but actually one that is much closer and will be a much easier bus ride. I got more to say about that, but I'm out of time, so maybe in the next video. Yay!